The eighth prophetic element is similar to the fourth. In fact, it uses the same verse as its basis. Following the rebellion of South Carolina, war will be poured out upon all nations. And we bifurcated this prophecy into two elements because the church and LDS scholars used multiple rationales for its fulfillment. Element number 4 addressed the sequential aspect of their arguments. The church manual and leaders explained that this element refers to a litany of wars that occurred after the Civil War. In other words, wars occurred throughout the world, but not simultaneously. But there is another way to look at the prophecy. We believe the Lord is describing a global war which will include every nation of the world simultaneously. Prophetic element number 8 encompasses both aspects, the simultaneity and the totality of war. Neither the church nor its leaders have addressed these aspects, but we must take the Lord literally here. All nations means all nations. When war is poured out on all nations, it can only mean that war is occurring at the same time everywhere, like a flood covering the entire earth. The question, then, is, has this already occurred? Neither World War I or World War II included all the nations of the world. The list of neutral countries varies, but all agree that there were some countries in both wars that maintained neutrality throughout each war. The neutral countries in World War I, depending upon the list, included Argentina, Chile, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, Venezuela, Sweden, and Switzerland. The neutral countries in World War II were Afghanistan, Andorra, Iceland, Ireland, Liechtenstein, Monaco, Portugal, Spain, San Marino, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, Switzerland, Tibet, Turkey, Vatican City, and Yemen. There are differences in the list, but there is no doubt that in both cases, World War I or World War II, there were neutral countries and non-combatants. In other words, neither war included all the countries of the world. These two wars are considered to be and named as world wars. There is no other war to date that has included as many nations, nor has there been any war that has included all nations. This can only mean that on this prophetic element, the prophecy on war has not yet been fulfilled. The ninth prophetic element speaks to a future war between slaves and their masters. The prophecy states that after many days, slaves will rise up against their masters, who shall be marshaled and disciplined for war. And we encapsulated the prophecy in this way. From the beginning, it has always been assumed that the slaves and the masters referred to the ongoing slavery in the southern states. After all, this was the context of the revelation, as we have noted. Joseph Smith himself believed that it would probably arise through the slave question of the time. Note that Joseph Smith used the word probably. He was guessing based upon what he was witnessing at the time. He was not prophesying. The church, following Joseph's lead, believes that the issue of slavery in the southern states would be the impetus of the Civil War prophesied in the Revelation. The LDS Student Manual makes this assertion. In fairness, the manual does make it clear that this connection between the Revelation and the U.S. Civil War is merely an assumption. The manual also makes the case, citing Elder Joseph L. Worthland, that the verse could also refer to slaves throughout the world. Elder Worthland believed that the prophecy extends beyond the slaves in the southern states, though they do qualify as fulfillment. He particularly mentioned China and Russia, though extended the prophecy to the entire globe. Elder Worthland is again articulating for multiple fulfillments. The rising up of the slaves in the southern states qualifies as fulfillment, but so do slave rebellions throughout the world after the end of the Civil War. Now, obviously, there is wiggle room in interpretation. After all, the revelation does not identify either the slaves or the masters.